Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Vivian from ThePaperLetterBlog. I also like to call myself the Chatty Pen Pal channel, and today I'm here with a super fun and easy tutorial for a pen pal meal. And after that, we're of course going to decorate it and fill it with goodies. And if I may say so myself, this project turned out so well. I don't want to change a single thing, which makes me really happy. Because that doesn't happen too often, and I really hope you guys want to stick around to watch the process with me. Now, first things first, yes, I'm grabbing tea and I'm mopping up the tea I spilled. That's a really nice flask because my tea stays nice and hot, but it does spill easily. So this is also a gentle reminder for all of you. Feel free to pause this video and grab yourself a nice cup of tea or a glass of water. Stay hydrated. And I personally think crafting with tea is the best way to craft. What you saw in the beginning is my ideas notebook. Thank you back for the idea for an idea notebook. And I showed you that I got the idea for this meal, sorry for my head by the way, by an Instagram account called @HeartlyPaper. I will link her down below. The original idea for this folder is from her, from a post she did, and my project is largely inspired by that. So the pocket and the layout is kind of similar to hers. I asked for permission and she said that I could make a video about this, so here we are. Of course, I didn't copy her, I merely used it for inspiration, and all of the decorations and the goodies and everything are my own spin / twist to this. So now let me explain what we are doing. I found craft paper cardstock or craft cardstock on Craftelier finally. I'm clapping to let myself know that this is a part where we need to pay attention. I found that, but you can also use any other cardstock that you like. I think you could even make this out of thinner paper, but I would personally prefer cardstock because it's just a little bit sturdier and it's going to make making this folder a little bit easier as well. So this is just me writing down the measurements. I will also write down the measurements in the description box down below, as well as supplies used, such as my tripod and my craft mat, stuff like that. So the first thing I did, and I suggest you do, is make a simple sketch. For the bottom layer, which is going to be the base of the flipbook, you are going to need a piece of paper that is 12 by 5 inches or 30 by 12.5 centimeters. And then the flap, which is what you see here, the flap is going to be the pocket all the way on the right. The flap is another 4.5 by 3.5 inches or 11 by 8 centimeters. It may sound intimidating, but just look at the piece of paper and you will get a general idea of how I made this pocket flipbook or folder something. As I said, it's really simple. After cutting it, we are going to score or fold the individual flaps. Our first score line is at 3 inches or 7.5 centimeters. So that's the one all the way on the left, making the little overhanging flap. And then the second one is going to be at 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters. So really, really simple. And then this is all done by eye. It worked out quite all right for me, but you could of course also sketch it out first if you prefer. What I did is I made that left flap into some sort of a triangle shape with a rounded pointy edge. But again, you could change that, you could keep it square, you could make it rounded, it doesn't matter. That's just going to be our closure flap. And then the last thing I'm doing is I am going to cut that pocket into I'm going to cut a triangle out of the pocket as well. You could again do this multiple ways. You could, for example, use a circle punch to punch out a little half circle or a half moon, but I decided to go for a little triangle. Again, you could also leave that square. It's all good. Speaking of all good, I like giving you these ideas, but feel free to make them your own. You could add an extra flap if you like, or you could even change the measurements, and also you could potentially make the flap or the pocket that we have on the right out of a separate piece of paper instead of all out of one paper. The next thing we're doing is we're making I think this is called a valley fold, and we are going to stick that in between the pages to create the pocket. The reason I'm doing that, I could have also glued this page flap pocket directly onto the flap, but that would have created a really narrow pocket, and when you stick a valley fold in between, you get a little bit more space. That is optional, but I just really like doing that so that you have you can put some more goodies in your project. Now, this is the basic tutorial. I think it I hope it made sense. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, of course. If you're still here, I would also like to ask you to please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Leave a comment if you like. I always love reading those. Follow my channel if you haven't already, and of course you can also decide to follow my Instagram. The next thing I'm doing is I'm using my beloved, quite new tool, which is a Craftelier. I still think that's a weird name, but I just made a minty green eyelet as a little finishing touch, or not finishing touch because we've just started. I used a minty green one, and in the end that worked out really well because it goes quite nicely with the rest of my colors. But I don't really understand why I did this at the beginning of crafting, because it would have probably been way easier to choose a color of eyelet when I knew what the colors of my projects were going to be. But I guess I was just confident that whatever it was going to be, mint green would suit it, and in the end, whew, that worked out well. Maybe I did it the other way around. Maybe I just inspired the rest of my project by the minty green. I don't know. What you're seeing here is a little bit of a fall stash still, but don't worry, this is not going to be fall themed. This is going to have a different theme. I just like going through these papers for some ideas. The page that I'm going to end up using as a main element for the back is going to be from an old planner, like not mine, but I just purchased that in a secondhand shop for like 50 cents. All the planner pages were used, but they had these beautiful divider pages, and I like using them for crafting. So I ended up going with this, can I say, beautiful image, beautiful illustration of, I don't know what that plant is called. The image you see lying on the top there, coincidentally enough, also appeared in one of my videos. But then the Patreon video that I did 2 weeks ago, I uploaded a flipbook tutorial for Patreon with the Craft Club challenge of the month. And for that, I used that beautiful pinecone page. But today we're going to work with some more light colors, some green, lots of green actually, some orange, and then of course some vintage book pages. But I think the reason why I love this project so much, not just because of the way it looks, but also because I felt so relaxed while crafting it. I really did not have any clue how my decorations were going to go, but I just let the papers that I liked guide me. That sounds so vague and so mystical, but I was really in the flow is what I'm trying to say, and that I haven't had that in quite a while. I mean, crafting really is my hobby, but so many times people seem to think that it comes easy for me, and it doesn't. Usually I will move stuff around for very long, and I will overthink it, and I will weigh all of my options, and then I will choose on a decoration. And this time I found that image, that illustration, and it just worked, and I just went with it, and it turned out so well. And like I said, I'm not here to toot my own horn like, well done, Vivian, but it makes me so happy to have that feeling of flow in your work. That's basically, I think, what we're all after, and I'm really happy that I had that in this project. I also have to admit I have not yet sent this project out, probably exactly because of that feeling of flow. I don't want to let go of it just yet. I'm using some clothespins. I use clothespins in my craft room and not in the laundry room, just to hold that image still while drying, because of course it's folded and glue and folding doesn't necessarily go well together. So I'm just holding that in place with clothespins. Next thing I'm using is some sort of, it's vellum like paper, I don't know, translucent paper. It curls up to the touch, which makes it annoying to work with, but it looks really, really nice. And again, if you were watching the screen closely, you saw that I picked that, I tore it, and I just thought, hey, this looks nice, I'm gonna stick it down. And that for me is so new almost. Like normally I sit there and I look at things for like 20 minutes, which is a good way to craft, but this was also good because in the end it still worked out beautifully. It's still weird to say that about myself, but yes, I'm proud of this project and you are all allowed to know it. Now, I also wanted, while we are in the background decorating this project, I wanted to try something new. I'm hoping you will like this. Feel free to leave your opinion about this as well down below, but I am hoping to do some self-care while not, that came out weird. It's not like I'm gonna sit here and put on a face mask, which would be lovely, not gonna lie, but I want to do some talking about self-care is what I was trying to say. I've of course done that multiple times, especially in the past, where I would talk about therapy and talk about anxiety and talk about things I had learned, but quite recently, you may already know this, you may not, but quite recently I have experienced quite a setback in my anxiety. You know, we are currently in a strict lockdown, which means that there's nothing is open except for like supermarkets and essential things like drugstores. And that has gotten me quite down. I mean, my anxiety is sky high. I'm unemployed, which sucks. And I don't really know what to do with myself. So one of the things that I have tried recently is both mindfulness. I already did mindfulness for a couple weeks longer, but I recently also started doing yoga, and I am not flexible, I can tell you that, but I'm following this 30-day yoga challenge from Yoga with Adrienne. She's here on YouTube. Her yoga challenge videos are free to watch, so you know, if you're interested, go check it out. I actually think it's really good. Like I said, I am not flexible. I used to do some yoga back when I was in Sydney, and I've also had dance classes, so I'm okay following along, but I have a lot to learn. So if you're a total beginner, don't be intimidated, because I basically am too. And if I can do it, I think you can do it. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about breathing, because now that I'm doing more meditation and a yoga challenge every night, I realize a yoga challenge basically is a video where you do like 25 minutes of yoga. It's not like the challenge is to stand on one leg for as long as possible or something. That sounds really weird. But now that I'm doing yoga every night and meditation every other day, I guess, I realize that my breathing is very sloppy. I already knew that when I get anxious, I forget to breathe, which sounds really weird because, like, theoretically speaking, you cannot forget to breathe. Your body will just do it on its own. But what happens is when I get anxious, I start to hold my breath. And since I've been anxious quite a bit lately, that also means that I haven't been breathing well. Like, I'm holding my breath a lot. And I honestly don't know if that's a normal thing to do. I'm kind of asking you here. Do you recognize this or not? I think I'm not. I know that I'm not the only one, but I don't know how common it is. Like, if you're into yoga or into meditation, probably you will have learned to. And maybe this is really weird, and maybe you think, lady, I'm just here for the snail mail, get it over with, or shut it. Lately, the comment section has been kind of positive ever since I started doing the introduction. My name is Vivian, blah, 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 also known as the Chatty Pen Pal channel. People don't actually get angry with me anymore over being chatty. I'm like, I told you. But okay, I don't know if this is weird, but just the bep, the bep, the bep, the bep. See, this is weird for me too. I'm not going to cut that out. I'm going to leave it in. Oh, just really quickly about the background. All of a sudden there's those labels in the pocket, and it may look like there's a piece of footage missing, but it's not. I just put those labels in the pocket off camera to remember that I had them, because I was hoping to use them as decoration somewhere. But I'm not actually going to use them as decoration. But you didn't miss anything. That's just there. I like making this bundle of goodies accessible for when I need them. And then this box is filled with more vintage stationery. Do I really need more? I don't think so. And I'm gonna use some washi tape stickers to decorate. But I was talking about breathing. So if you have a cup of tea, hold it, because I personally think that the warmth of the teacup is so nice. It sounds really dreamy almost, but the warmth of the teacup is something positive, I think, and that is good. Make sure you are sitting comfortably. If you don't want to breathe along, that is totally fine. You can just watch this video or craft, or you don't even have to pause crafting if you're sitting there crafting along. I just think that everyone could use a reminder to take a little self-care moment. So I'm gonna do this. I feel weird, but I'm gonna try and do this. So like I said, hold your teacup if you have one, unless it's empty. That's just weird. Make sure you are sitting comfortably, both feet firmly on the ground if you like, to really connect to where you are, connect to not necessarily the earth, but just have that feeling of being grounded. I really like that, because when I do meditation, one of the things you learn is to really notice the way you're sitting. Like when I use the meditation, the Headspace app it's called, he will say, like, feel the weight of your legs on the chair or your butt on the chair, and feel your feet touching the ground. Those kind of things help me ground. Yep, I don't know how else to say that. Those kind of things help me be more in the now, because when I started meditation, not gonna lie, it was quite difficult. Like, how the heck do you just sit still and do nothing and think about nothing? And those kind of exercises help you. So just take a breath with me, slowly breathing in through the nose and out through the nose or the mouth if you like. I like every now and then doing a little sigh, like just letting go of all that stress. Don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and breathe into the microphone, because I think that's going to be annoying real fast. But I just wanted you to point your attention towards your breathing. And what I've learned, yes, I was smiling at the camera again. What I've learned is that in order to calm down, focusing on your breathing is actually really helpful. Because when you start doing mindfulness, you have this idea that you have to sit there and think of nothing, but it's just like the pink elephant. How when someone tells you not to think of a pink elephant, all you're going to think about is a pink elephant. And that's the same with mindfulness. When you're told that you have to empty your mind and not chase after thoughts, that's simply impossible. But breathing, focusing on your breathing helps. I like to visualize my breathing as being a ball, a ball of light. I'm going to call it a ball of light, just underneath my chest, like underneath the breasts basically. Just a ball of light that expands as I breathe in and gets smaller as I breathe out. And that visualization helps me focus on the breath, because if I just sit there and try and think about nothing, I'm going to think about my to-do list and my grocery list and a video that I have to finish and I don't know, random things. But if I sit there and I visualize the ball of light growing and getting smaller and growing and getting smaller with every breath, it's not perfect, but easier to sit still. Believe it or not, I find it quite difficult to sit still. So I have no clue if I'm doing this right. Maybe someone of you is like a breathing expert and you're like, Vivian, People have been holding their breath for 2 minutes because you told them to breathe in and you haven't told them to breathe out, and what the heck are you doing? That's okay. As long as I got you to pay attention to your breathing, I'm happy. I think I'm just going to put one of those reminders in every video from now on. Remember to breathe. And again, if I'm the only one that has this problem, I will stop reminding you to breathe. But I have a feeling I'm not the only one. So I will leave it at that for now, just a little introduction to breathing. If you'd like to know more, I would actually recommend you to try out that Yoga by Adriene 30-day yoga challenge. Day 6 was really challenging because the title of the day 6 was Burn, and she does every exercise while focusing on the breathing, which I think is beautiful. In the beginning I found it so difficult. That's hot chocolate. I must have been having a bad day because hot chocolate is my go-to comfort drink. I found it so difficult to time my exercise and my downward facing dog and whatever, and what else do you have with the breathing, but it got easier as I'm now at day 8, and I find it's not going by itself. I still think about the breathing and I still forget it and I still hold my breath, but it's going easier, and I think that's remarkable. You know, I've only been doing the exercises for 7 days, so I think maybe this is beneficial for more people than just me. This is not sponsored, of course not. This is just something I like to share. And this, by the way, is called a cling stamp. I got it off of AliExpress. I absolutely love it. I'm just using small pieces of it for the stamping, so I don't put ink on the entire stamp, just the parts I want to use. And then some other things I've been using, that feather and quill sticker sheet that you see me use is from Your Creative Studio. I did an unboxing. I've done an unboxing quite recently actually, but this one was in an older box if I'm not mistaken. You can check that out if you like. And then some other things I've used are of course the washi tape stickers. One of those tickets, the green tickets that are in the middle of the page on the Vellum pocket, is an actual vintage bus ticket, and they came from, I ordered them off of Etsy this time, and they're like real tickets, and I find them very difficult to use because they're so pretty and precious, and I want to hoard them forever. But I tore off 2 and I stuck them down on the middle page. I've also used some vintage stamp and some vintage book pages here and there, and then a label, of course. I wrote "for you" on the label, and on the Vellum pocket there's also some of that brown measuring tape. I forgot what that is called, and I got that from Jackie in some lovely mail. So there's that. And then what I'm doing is I'm just doodling around the page. I think for the theme I'm doing, oh, by the way, the Vellum pocket, I received a Vellum envelope in mail a while ago, and I simply cut the pocket in half and then I glued the bottom flap shut so that I had 2 pockets instead of 1 envelope. But for the theme I'm doing, which is like this craft paper, vintagey, botanical sort of theme, I think simplicity is key. Like not overdoing it, not sticking down too many things. And I find that quite difficult. Like I'm usually the more is more kind of type. Even though when I receive simplistic mail, I absolutely love it. But when I do it myself, I find it quite difficult. So that's why I usually do the little doodles around the page, just to fill it up a little bit more without making it too much. And then I'm making a washi tape sample, just some washi tapes that I thought would be nice with this theme. They're all from AliExpress except for the one on the top, which is like a vintage book page. I also got that from the Your Creative Studio box. They were all in that box of vintage stationery. I like keeping things with a certain theme together, so that's all my vintage stationery in one box. The last thing we're doing, of course, is adding the goodies. I am also adding a letter to this. I have not sent it out, I already said that, but one of you is going to get it. Yay! What I added is stickers, and I added labels, and I added washi tape samples, of course, and then I also added that thicker washi tape, that brown. Was that also from your Creative Studio books? I think so. I've received, I'd say 3 or 4. I have all of the reviews or the openings, unboxings up on my channel. This is not sponsored. She sends me the boxes for free, but I would not talk about them and use them if I didn't like them, of course. And then the last thing we're going to do after the goodies is wrap this up with a little bit of yarn. I love using yarn. It's kind of affordable. It is affordable, and you have such beautiful colors. This is a kind of a sage green, and I thought, I just took the pictures for this like a couple hours ago, and I still like looking at it so much. I think the sage green goes together with this all really, really well. And yes, I've said this numerous times, but I'm really, really pleased with this project. So I will probably keep it up somewhere in my room for a couple more weeks, and then I will send it out. I really hope you enjoyed this project. I know I did. I'm just showing you this to show you that I had a little bit of company, of course. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a little comment if you like, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. I also want to thank my patrons, because they are the ones who make all of the videos possible, and all of you for supporting my channel. Bye bye!